All right, how's everybody doing tonight? Somebody can quickly give me a shout out in the comments to make sure that you can hear me, because I'm always concerned that I'm talking to no one, because I used to do that every once in a while. So if someone give me a shout out in the comments. We got 9 or 10 people in here already. Nice to see. Regulars here. Pedro's here. Jewel is here. Vaz is here already. Zach Tan is here over from John's Longbox. Ryan, how you doing? Manny is here as well. Let's see. Scrolling down and see if anybody can hear me. Vaz, yes, thank you very much. All right, so for anybody who's new here, we talk about fun things in comics for probably about 15-20 minutes, and then I just go through the chat and answer any questions that anybody wants to ask me about my books, about my videos, about the topic tonight, anything at all. So if you were here from the very beginning, that is the trailer for my new books that are coming out, Fade to Blue. Those will be available digitally. The link is in the description for the sign-up page for Fade to Blue. If you want to go over there and leave your email address, you'll be informed when the project goes live. Right now, we're waiting on a cover for that project, so that's the only thing that is holding that up right now. There are 3 books that we are looking to sell with this campaign. Whether or not and how we're going to sell them, again, it might just be completely digitally, or there might be some physical copies. We're not entirely sure yet. I wanted to do something digital for the people who kept on saying they wanted to order my books but didn't have a chance, just because it's so expensive for shipping, and shipping is expensive. Although I'm looking into some alternatives to that shipping problem, which is print on demand. So we'll look in the future at further campaigns in that direction to minimize shipping down to almost, just the cost of a letter going from your state or your country to you. So we're hoping to get that going in the future. But Fade to Blue will be available digitally. It is a book that I thought to put together really because of the artist that I really wanted to work with. He has beautiful black and white stuff, and I wanted to do something that would complement his style. So it's basically a Indiana Jones style story, but in a film noir setting. And it's set in starts in 1929 and then goes into the 1930s in the Great Depression in America, obviously. So we follow our hero as he goes through a lot of strange events and monsters and things like that always pop up. And there's some Easter eggs in there and everything else, but we're doing great. We have 2 of the 3 books done already. I want to get some of the script to the artist for book 3 just in the next couple of days, actually. So that is moving right along. As I said, we are waiting on a cover for that, because the original person who was going to do the cover was the artist. He's done a couple of pieces for me so far, and they've all been extremely beautiful pieces. The fellow who did the Artemis poster for the Valiant Heroes, I'm just scrolling through. Here it is. I'll show you what that looks like. So this artist here, he was supposed to do the cover for Fade to Blue. However, he got very, very busy. He did do a poster for Valiant Heroes #2, which is this is Cardinal in the background. So her partner is Artemis, and he basically did a back-to-back with this poster, which you could get before in Valiant Heroes, and I think I will sell it again with Thomas Valiant #2. But yeah, beautiful stuff. He was supposed to do the cover for Fade to Blue, but again, he got too busy to do that, and I can't fault him for that. So we're trying to put together somebody else for the cover as we speak, and that's what's going on with Fade to Blue. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was the death of the Avengers, because if anybody has seen, I don't know if anybody even wants to talk about this anymore, but if you're looking at the Marvel movies, and the cast for the Avengers has come out, right? And let me see, I'll just share the screen. I think I got it pulled up here somewhere. Give me a second here. There we go. All right. So Avengers Doomsday, but we're looking at the cast of characters is what I was looking at, right? So you got Victor Van Doom, obviously. That's why you got Doomsday. and I'm not even going to look at who's playing these people. You got Sam Wilson, so-called Captain America, Falcon, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, The Thing, Human Torch. So the entire Fantastic Four, which is going to play off of the other Fantastic Four that is coming out soon. I'm sure the whole thing is going to play into it. You have the Winter Soldier, you got the U.S. Agent, you got a bunch of Red Guardian, and a bunch of others from what is it, Thunderbolts. Let's see. You got Peggy Carter. I don't even know why they would throw Peggy Carter in there, but you got Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Namor, Shang-Chi. I don't even know why you would put Shang-Chi in the Avengers, quite honestly. Maybe the Defenders, not the Avengers. And then you got a whole bunch of X-Men as well. You got the Beast, you got Nightcrawler, you got Mystique, you got Gambit, Cyclops, and Professor X, Magneto, and you also have Loki, and a bunch of other characters, just side characters. But as I was looking at this, let me see. I guess I should have put that a little bit bigger so people could read it. But that's basically your cast of characters there. And quite honestly, when I was looking at this cast of characters, because I absolutely did not watch the 5-hour live stream to reveal these characters. Why someone would actually watch 5-hour live stream for that, I have no idea. But when I heard about what these cast of characters look like, I honestly thought to myself, this is just the death of the best comics in the Avengers, in the fact that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel for content for an Avengers movie, which you should never have to do that. That was their big seller. But let me pull up some. Let's see here, some Avengers covers. Okay, now I want to talk about this in terms of Avengers because, again, buying Avengers in the 80s and the 90s, I still had a bunch of 70s things, comics that people bought for me. Like, I think the first Avengers that I actually owned was this one right here, 161, that I bought myself. But we have other Avengers that older than that somebody else bought. I have no idea. You have your beautiful Jack Kirby covers, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, we'll scroll down a little bit, and you have 162 with Ultron and 163. These are like when I started collecting Avengers comics. Avengers was always a secondary book. It was never a primary book. It was never a huge seller. It was a good seller, but never something like Spider-Man, obviously, or even any of the other bigger books. Although you do have some spectacular artists working on these books, if you're just looking at the covers. And again, this 169, one of the ones I bought off the spinner rack. And you had some really good storytelling as well. You got John Byrne doing the covers, and I think the internals for these ones as well for 70, 71, and a few others. He was on a good run here. But the thing was that, let's see, scroll down. Here we go. The Korvac, what they call the Korvac saga. To me, these were just two books that came out. I think it was 175 and 176 with Korvac in it. And then, no, it was 3 books, 177, right? You had a three book arc of Avengers. And to me, this was, and it was John Byrne doing the art for it as well. And if I remember, it was Korvac that basically destroyed, and his wife basically destroyed the entire Avengers mansion and almost obliterated the Avengers themselves. And that's why you have Donald Blake here. Thor was the only one that was left standing enough after this battle that he had to turn himself back into Donald Blake so he could try and save the lives of the rest of the Avengers, because Donald Blake is the Doctor. But to me, this was one of the best Avengers. It was just a short story arc of 3 issues, but it was one of the best story arcs for early Avengers. Excuse me. But I wanted to start there, and that's why I chose that cover. Let me see if I have, yeah, I have it on full screen. Good. But to me, this was the height of good Avengers storytelling, not only because of the art, but because it was just a darn good story. And I find that the best stories are when somebody's an uppercomer and this is an underdog book at this point, right? So when you got that Avengers, and then slowly you got John Byrne's still working on it. 181, where classic iconic issues where they're paring down the Avengers, all these kinds of things. So you got good books coming out. And what year is this? I think. Let me see. It's about. Let me take a look. 70. No, I gotta quickly. 79. Yeah, it is 79. Excuse me. By the way, this cover right here is inspiration. The one with on the left with Scarlet Witch. One of the inspirations for Thomas Valiant #2, the story wise. Anyway, scrolling down, and you got again. Not every book was a winner. I'll tell you that right now. Like 188 is not the greatest book in the world. You got a lot of Falcon complaining about the fact that he's the diversity Avenger. Excuse me for 1 second. But anyway, solid stories all around for most of these. 193, really good, solid story. But here's my point. Okay, we got beautiful art. I got a couple of these Taskmaster. One of them's not in very good shape. And you got the infamous 197, which I think is the one where Miss Marvel gets taken away by her. I don't know how to describe the storyline. Someone who brainwashed her basically to be his wife. Anyways, so let's go to the next round here of covers. And again, beautiful art, beautiful stories. And again, not the top tier book for Marvel at the time, and it was great. But we'll scroll past these pretty quickly and take a look here. You did get a dip in quality somewhere around, what is it? It's about 214 or so. It started to be very much Defender-ish, whereas in 219 you started to get back to really good, solid Avengers stories. And here's the thing, okay? We're coming up to some of the stuff which you would use for the Marvel movies. And you're getting into here with 240 or so, you're getting into storylines that have been used for, at the very least, some parts of the Marvel movies, right? And that's where you got your A game material. You got beautiful connection with Rom there. But let's see, we'll scroll down a little more and go into 250 to 300. When you get into 250 to 300, you start to get into, if I do remember correctly, is where you got new team of Avengers, but at the same time, you got Nebula in here. And again, you got your pre-stories for Infinity War, which is basically what 260 is. Although they didn't write it as that, obviously. It just got retroactively put into that. And you got your Secret Wars with Secret Wars 2 actually here with the Beyonder in the background. But again, you had some really good stories and really good team of Avengers. But let me scroll down until I get to my point here, which is the fact that I think it's issue number 400. Well, let me put it this way. A lot of people don't like this team of Avengers. 279 on the right hand side here. I actually didn't mind it very much. It was pretty good story, and the art was, well, I wouldn't say as top tier as John Byrne, but it's beautiful art still. Yeah, Captain America, you got Thor, you got Black Knight, and the other Captain Marvel, and She-Hulk. Can't remember what is it, Dr. Occult, I think. But again, a lot of people didn't like this version of the Avengers. To me, it wasn't so bad. You also got to tie in with Atlantis Attacks, I think, over here. But anyways, you got the stories trying to hype up, once again, from a lot of what they were trying to draw off of the older Avengers comics at this time and, see if they could top something like a John Byrne run at the same time. But when you get into issue number, I think it's 400. No, it's 300. Let me put it here. Okay, here you go. Issue number 300. Right here. This is what I thought of when I saw the list of Avengers that were going to be in Avengers Doomsday. It's issue number 300 of the Avengers. And when you get into issue number 300 and the stories after it, it's just bad. I mean, you do have Steve Rogers as Captain America, but he's not Captain America. He was U.S. agent, but they just have him as the captain here. And you got two members of the Fantastic Four on the Avengers, which is just weird to begin with. You have Thor as basically a mainstay character, although it's a little bit strange because he's already gone through his phase within the Walter Simonson Thor run where he changed his armor and they just changed it back. You also got Gilgamesh. I think it was Gilgamesh here on the bottom right-hand corner. Anyways, these are basically the substitute Avengers. And the team book just fell apart at this point. They did manage to pull it back together every once in a while, but it just did not work. And they were skimping on the art, and it just fell apart as, I don't know, a good Marvel book. You got John Byrne trying to pull people back with one of those covers here on the right-hand side. But again, you got Namor, you got Gilgamesh, you got Eternals, all these things. They're trying to throw everything at the wall, see if they can get anybody to start buying this book again. You got Ceres there from the Eternals. But yeah, you got a lot of strange combinations of characters, and you got Mandarin coming in from what was it? Iron Man at the time. And then you got Nebula coming back in. But quite honestly, again, this 300 cover is exactly the thing that I thought of when I saw the list of who's going to be in Avengers Doomsday. It's bottom tier, bottom of the barrel. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel for content right now. And you're doing that for an Avengers movie. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why has it gotten to this point? I mean, I know why. I know why most of the Marvel movies are failing. I've, talked about this on my channel many, many times. But the point is that if you want to pull out of the nosedive that Marvel has gone into, Marvel movies have gone into, and television over the last, 3-4 years minimum, this is not where you go for your source material. Quite. I mean, this is not what you do. I understand that they did this early on with what was the second Avengers movie, and excuse me, and the interweaving of the Captain America movies into those as well. But no, this is not what you do. Something like this, these kinds of hodgepodge thrown together teams that are called the Avengers, where you got X-Men and you got Fantastic Four and you got old Avengers, then you got Thunderbolts. It just, I don't know who thought this would be a good idea. To me, this is where Avengers started to go south within its comic run within the 80s and the 90s. Again, you got some good books after it, but it wasn't a spectacular run, to say the least. And that's what they're going with the movies. I don't know. Give me your 2 cents in the comments. And I just wanted to rant on that tonight because there are some spectacular storylines, excuse me, for Avengers, especially. Let me remove this from the stage and put that, like, this old Korvac 3-issue series arc of a story. Beautiful. Barely mentioned again for the next 30 years, but it was great. Give me 1 second again. I got to clear my throat. Sorry. So I guess my question to you is, who is anybody going to go see this new Avengers movie with that cast of characters? I'm thinking to myself, maybe if it's a slow day and I got nothing else to do, or a slow night and I got nothing else to do, and I'm waiting for something, maybe. That's about it. Anyways, let's see who's here in the chat and see if anybody has any questions. I forgot to say at the first, if you have a comment for me you want me to answer, please put a question mark on it and tag me in it if you can. That way I can go through the chat with speed and try not to waste everybody's time. All right, we'll scroll down and see who's here. And if there's any questions, let's see. We said hello to a couple of the regulars: Pedro, Jewel, Vaz, Zaktan, Ryan, Manny. How you doing all? Let's see. Yeah, Vaz says the Avengers are so dead. We only saw empty chairs. Yeah, some of them are not even confirmed. If you look at that the Marvel website, some of them are not even confirmed yet. They just stuck them in there. Let's see. Zachtan has an interesting comment. Imagine being colorblind all your life and suddenly you could see blue. It would drive you insane. That's kind of what happens. Not really. It's not the storyline of Fade to Blue, but we got black and white and some blue. So let's see. Scrolling down. George says Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Power Man. That must be Hank Pym and OG Ant-Man doing. No, it's not OG Ant-Man doing CPR. It's Donald Blake. Let's see. Scrolling down. Mystic is here. How you doing, Mystic? It says the Korvac saga was something. I have the trade in storage somewhere in my parents' garage. Yeah, and again, they didn't come back to that until I think the early 2000s. This is what 1979. It was a great book. That's how many good stories you had at the time. Michael is here. How you doing, Michael? Says Robert Downey Jr. was good as Tony Stark, but there's no way he's going to be a good Doctor Doom. I can't see it either, but he does have range, so it's possible. But still, will anybody even bother to go see it in order to find out? That's the question. Mystic says, too bad we can't call Sam Wilson Captain Falcon without incurring the wrath of Nintendo. Let's see. Scrolling down. See if we have any other comments. Pedro says, Avengers are dead in the moment we saw the last cameo of Stan Lee. It's a good way to put it. Scrolling down. George also says, I just came back from my LCS and it's not an April Fool's joke. MJ is the new Venom. Yeah, I heard about that too. I listened to, well, if I want any comic book news now, I just go to Wes's channel over at Thinking Critical. He does a good job of covering it. But yeah, some of the things they're doing in the books right now, I just, maybe it's a mercy that my local comic shop closed down a couple of years ago. Let's see, scrolling down. John is here. How you doing, John? You need to get to bed. He says, you're calling it a saga. It was a bit too much hype. Yeah, that's what they called it in order to sell the trade paperback. To me, it was just a short story arc until they started calling it that for the trade. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zachtan has a good question. I don't remember. Did you hurt Jarvis with the mansion? I don't remember, quite honestly. Mystic says it was written by Jim Shooter, wasn't it? I don't know off the top of my head, and I didn't look it up. I should have looked it up. I don't think it says within the cover browser that I'm in. Scrolling down. Yeah, I'm with you, George. 35-cent comics. Man, I hate inflation. Yeah, that was 1979 for you. Let's see. Scrolling down to see if there's any other comments. George also says, I'll take not every book is a winner over no books being winners. Indeed. Scrolling down. No, Taskmaster did not get a background in his book. John Byrne was pressed for time sometimes. And if he was pressed for time, he let it be known that he just stopped doing backgrounds. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. George says, Avengers was... Okay. I mean, a cosmic entity impregnates Miss Marvel so he can be born again and then seduces her. Wonder if GRRM got this idea from... I have no idea. Sorry, George. I'm not entirely following you, but let's see. Scrolling down. George is asking about the Cocoon cover. I don't remember who it was that was in the Cocoon cover. Was it Miss Marvel? I'm not entirely sure. Dr. Occult. Thank you very much. Dr. Druid. No. Dr. Druid. You're right. Thank you, Mystic. Dr. Druid was the other member that I couldn't remember. Dr. Occult is DC. Yes, indeed. And I also got the same from George. Let's see. Scrolling down. Exactly. Zachdan says a bit of an eclectic group. Yeah. Let's put that back up. See, I'll put that cover back up again. Just got to share the screen. Oops. Nope. Let's see. I am trying to put something up on screen here. Give me 1 second. Avengers cover number 300. There you go. So yeah, eclectic group to say the least. Eclectic is a euphemism for not very good. So let's see. Scrolling down. Pedro says She-Hulk was better as one of the Fantastic Four instead of an Avenger. She was. She actually, she actually had a uniform then. So that's one of the things about She-Hulk. She looked good in that uniform because she matched with everybody else. Any other time, she just has this strange half uniform that's, I don't know, just spandex. That's it. Or a bathing suit. It didn't really work. John Byrne did his best to put clothes on her and make her just a good character. But at the same time, it was the Fantastic Four when he used her for Fantastic Four, as John Byrne was doing that book at the time, that really, I think, cemented the character as much more heroic than the Avengers run. All right, let's see. Scrolling down. Exactly. Mystic says X-Men, Fantastic Four, guest starring the Avengers. Yeah, there's so many other characters. You're right, Mystic. I hadn't thought of this, but there are so many other characters in this movie that this Avengers movie is going to have a minimum of, well, we'll say not a minimum, but the small group in this Avengers movie are the Avengers. Quite honestly, they're guest starring in their own movie. Yeah. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Here's a good comment from Pedro. Great Lake Avengers, new Avengers, give a clue. That's what they should have done. Quite literally. I think they're trying to stretch their material too far. That's my take on it, Pedro. And they're going to do some West Coast Avengers. They're going to try to do a West Coast Avengers movie, or they want to try to do it. But if they were looking for good Avengers content during this time, they should have just moved over to West Coast Avengers. No, Great Lakes Avengers, that's just silly. But it was meant to be silly. And the new Avengers, nope. Just don't even want to touch that one, although they'll probably want to do that, I'm sure, at some point, given the way that Marvel and Disney is operating. But where they should have went with this movie would be West Coast Avengers, all the way. Let's see, scrolling down. Zach Dan says, superhero teams need synergy. Everybody should fill a niche, and they should have decent chemistry with the other characters. Yes. Indeed, that was one of the reasons why, if we're looking at, let's see, older covers, we'll go back to the cover browser here, and we'll go back to, let's see, scroll down. We'll go back to 200, 249. If you're going to, no, I haven't even gone back far enough, I don't think. Nope, wait a minute. Oh, here it is. I think we have to go to, anyways, when you go to the books where they introduce a Falcon as one of the Avengers, which he wasn't supposed to be one of the Avengers, but they just put him on the team. Yeah, it's prior to 200, sorry. I think it is. But that character, here it is right here. When they put Falcon on the Avengers team, he just didn't fit. And they tried to make it a point within the story that he just didn't fit. And so he basically kept on complaining about, I don't fit here. It was just whiny at this point. It was like 188. That was the whiniest he got. It was like, why am I even on this mission? I don't belong here. I don't have any comparable powers to any of these people. Because, I mean, you have Scarlet Witch and Power Man and Miss Marvel and even Captain America and the Beast and Wasp are pretty OP compared to Falcon. And he knew that he shouldn't have been on this team. And Zach Tan's point is proven by this book right here in the background. He was a character that shouldn't have been on the team. He didn't have any synergy. He didn't fill a niche, except for the fact that they wanted him on the team as some kind of representation. And it was just, at that point, it wasn't representation from the writers. It was the guy, I can't remember his name, Guy Ritchie, maybe, trying to bring someone of a different stripe onto the team. But anyways, yeah. Let's see. We'll scroll down and see what I can find here with other questions for me. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Scrolling down. George says, Acts of Vengeance was a good idea. It was just executed poorly. Well, executed bad. Marvel was trying to capture the lightning in the bottle. That was Inferno. Yeah, Acts of Vengeance was, I wouldn't even say it was very good, quite honestly, if you ask me. Yeah. To me, it was just poor storytelling. If I remember correctly, the basic story plot of Acts of Vengeance was you got a whole bunch of villains together, and they said, okay, we've fought our own basically niche superheroes for so long that they know how to defeat us. So we're going to switch it up so that villains from someplace that would never encounter this character goes and fights some other superhero that they've never fought before, and hopefully we can take the superheroes down. It was not a good storyline, if you ask me, and certainly not I'm going to create an entire summer's worth of tie-ins with it. It was nowhere near that good. Scrolling down. How you doing, Trey? He says, they got rid and neutered the great characters. No Captain America, Hulk, Thor. The Hulk has balls. Thor sucks. Iron Man is gone. So desperation. Yeah, honestly, they didn't need to go into desperation territory. If they would go to something like West Coast Avengers, you got plenty. You got, I don't know. There's plenty of characters that you could have brought in from some of those good storylines. They already started to tie those West Coast Avengers stories into the comics and the movies and the television shows, anyways, with the Wanda miniseries. But hey, let's see. Scrolling down. Zach Dan answered the question. He says, I have no plans to go to the theater unless one of my friends wants to watch. That's pretty much it. Scrolling down. How you doing, Jewel? Jewel says, I still prefer the Justice League of America. Everything about DC is better anyway. Always has been and always will be. I beg to differ, Jewel. I'm a Marvel guy through and through, although I did love Justice League America. Look at that super chat for $10. Thank you very much. He says, what's up? The Lou Gaia 06. What's up, RJ? Just wanted to give a super chat. Keep up the good work with the videos. I'm hoping that the culture will change since we're having the Nintendo Switch 2 hype. Let's go. I have no idea what the Nintendo Switch 2 hype is, but I'm glad to hear that somebody is excited for a change in the culture. It's great to see things turning around, at the very least slowly, in the direction of we're going to start, hopefully, to get some good entertainment, slowly but surely. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you. Let's see. Pedro says, if I don't confirm there is not any DEI crap, I will not even watch Doomsday on the television. So far, I avoided bad movies that way. Yeah, exactly. It's like the fact that Richard over Comics Matter is saying there's good comics now. Everybody come back to Marvel and read good comics, and everybody is just like, nah, I don't care. It's like I don't care. They called me a Nazi for the last 10 years. I'm just going to skip out on those good comics. Sorry, no. And he just can't get it. He just can't. But anyway, let's see. Scrolling down. Jewel has a comment, says, I haven't watched a movie since the end of 2019, so no, I won't be watching the Avengers movie. Earl, how you doing, Earl? Earl says, this cast screamed a Crisis on Infinite Earth style deck clearing. I'm only morbidly interested in what or who will survive. Well, honestly, that might make a good storyline. If that's where they're going with it, I don't think they will. But if they kill off a lot of these characters in this Avengers movie, then yeah, they might have something. But I severely doubt that that's what they're going to do. Let's see. John, you're still up. He says, you can't go wrong with Avengers 150 to 200. You're absolutely right, John. Absolutely right. Scrolling down. Jose, how you doing? Learned a lot from you. Thanks. Not sure if that comment is for me or if you're referring to someone in the chat, but if it's for me, I'm not the best teacher in the world, so thank you very much. I just get on here and talk. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Manny says, I am curious about what you think about heroes passing on their mantles. For example, Captain America, Steve Rogers passing his hero name to the Falcon. Can it work, and how can it be done properly? I don't think it can work. I honestly don't think it can work unless you have a natural bond and they have basically the same power set. So the only way that I could see it working really well is if they ever wanted to truly get rid of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, if he had his son and he had the same powers and he grew up, basically having to take over from his father, maybe it could work that way. But we've looked at, what they've done with Superman, and no, it just doesn't work. And the amount of times they tried to do that with Batman just didn't work. Maybe it would be different with Marvel characters. I don't know, but just make a new character. Just make a new character. The thing is that they're just so, I don't know. They're just so hung up on, I'm going to use this character again because it's going to make us money. And eventually people just get tired of it. I can see, here's something that I have in my books, right? In the fact that you have a big cast of characters, and some of the characters are going to age as the stories go by. Some of the characters aren't, because their powers are going to lend them to basically either not being able to age or aging extremely slowly. Basically, if you can repair your own body, like Wolverine or something like that, obviously, you're going to fight the effects of aging. That makes sense. You want to keep a character up that way, fine. But some characters just got to die and stay dead. That's why book one of my characters dies, and as I said, he ain't coming back. It's dead is dead in my world. So, this is why you get into storylines like Avengers number 300. Because let's go back to Avengers number 300. Here. You get to a point where they've just done so much with the character, and there's so many good stories, not just in the distant past, but in the recent past, and you're just holding on too tight. And it doesn't work. Let's see. Scrolling down. Secton says, why was She-Hulk with the Fantastic Four? I know she gets along with the Thing. Thing had, so I think it was Secret Wars. I think it was because of a result of the Secret Wars, because the Beyonder created a separate world that was pulled together from a bunch of different worlds, like bits and pieces of them. And so on that world, there was a whole bunch of things going on. And I think that the Thing stayed on that world, if I remember correctly, because on that world, he could transform back and forth from Ben Grimm to the Thing. And he wanted to experience that. He wanted to be Ben Grimm for a little while. And he might have stayed there. That was his thinking. So when he stayed on the world created by the Beyonder, then you had a hole in the Fantastic Four, and they went and asked She-Hulk to, basically because she has the simple comparable power set to the Thing in that she's super strong. And they needed to work with someone because of the Fantastic Four. They're used to working with that kind of person on their team. So that's basically why they went and asked for her to join the team. I'm just doing that off the top of my memory, so if I'm wrong, let me know. Alessandro's here. Nice to see you. RJ, I read a Blue Beetle story by Steve Ditko called The Destroyer of Heroes that centers on iconoclast hero-hating hippie. Okay. That sounds like a very Steve Ditko story. And if it's Blue Beetle, see, Steve Ditko, I don't know if he had done, if it was only Ted Kord Blue Beetle that he did, he might have done older Blue Beetles than that. Let's see. Vaz says, for me, the Avengers always felt as a book you put random superheroes just for the sake of it, almost a fake group. Strangely, it doesn't feel like that with the Justice League. Honestly, I would say the Justice League feels more like that because you got, again, Batman and Green Arrow on the same team with Martian Manhunter and Superman. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, anyways. All right, scrolling down. Let's see. Zucktan says, I suppose it's realistic for heroes to pass on, but perhaps those who come after should have their own identities. Exactly. I agree. I don't know of, like, off the top of my head, I'm sure there is some mantle that has been passed from one character to another and it worked, but then they go and screw it up. To me, okay, let me put it this way. If you look at, what's his name? Danny Rand, I think it is, as the 90s version of Ghost Rider. I think that worked. I think the passing on of Ghost Rider from one character to another actually worked. And it had nothing to do with the characters, except for the fact that you had this character that looked similar and had similar power set. Even the fact that, I don't know, Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider didn't have the penitent stare, did he? I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember. But that worked until, of course, they had to put all the Ghost Riders together at one point, and it doesn't work after that. And I think it worked because, I don't know, the book itself was something to behold back in the 90s. Let's put it that way. When you had Mark Texeira working on it with his very sketchy look, and I think it was Mark Texeira. I can't remember. Is that how you say his name? Texeira? Whatever. But yeah, he made that almost like a period piece for the 90s. And that's how they made a great book and created a good character that was better than the original character. So yeah, there's one example. Let's see, scrolling down. Sandro says, the Blue Beetle, he saw me, but he's one of them. He dares to set himself up as a god. He is worse than heroic art. He's trying to be a hero, to be better than everyone else. Okay. There you go. That's probably from the Steve Ditko book itself. Let's see. Scrolling down. Mystic says, is it more or does it feel surreal that Jeff Johns has a run on the Avengers? I have no idea. Let's see. Scrolling down. Fred, how you doing? Is it Fred? Yeah, Fred. This makes me want to go through comics I had from when I was a kid, all and fill out each series. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love doing that, Fred. I know that I could order books online and fill up a whole lot of the holes that are in my collection, but I love the hunt. Part of it for me was always the hunt, and so I don't buy online typically, unless I'm going to buy like a whole section of things. I bought online basically Cull because I was missing so many of them from number one, and a lot of Legion of Superheroes from the early 70s, stuff like that. But if I'm looking to fill up holes and great runs, I just wait until I can find them in a comic book shop. Because the hunt to me is part of the fun of comics. All right, let's see if I can scroll down a little more. Scrolling down. Zach Dan says, it also doesn't make much sense to have your street level hero and your cosmic threat level hero on the same team. Unless they hang a lantern on it and actually tell you why they do that, and there is a specific reason. I mean, they would just be left on monitor duty all the time anyways. Let's see. Mystic says, was there any reason why West Coast Avengers was canceled in 1993 other than low sales? Not that I can think of, quite honestly. John is dipping out, says, oh no, he's still here. He says, "Sorry, Zach, you you explained how easy it is to break a habit in many videos. Well, I stopped Marvel and DC for nearly 10 years. That habit is kicked." Yeah. Yeah, I'm with John. I mean, I tried to do my 10-second comic reviews, and I tried to go back to my comic store and buy comics um, before 2020 insanity started. But after it closed, it was just like, I don't know. There's no place left to go, and to order them online is not my thing. So, scrolling down, scrolling down. George says, "What's George? I got to pull it up. It can't work, not even in manga. They tried with Gohan, but people were mad and said, bring back Goku." Okay, there you go. Da, da, da. Zakdan says, "Why should low sales stop a series?" I'm guessing Marvel wasn't a loss leader back then. No. And trust me, when West Coast Avengers was canceled, it probably sold higher than almost every Marvel comic that's on the shelf today. I could almost guarantee you that if we went through the numbers from old West Coast Avengers, which are probably still up online. I think that's what we would find. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Scrolling down. Jose says, wondering why so many gays everywhere, especially in RPGs, women pushing. That was an eye opener. Go listen to my last Saturday video if you want an explanation of that, Jose. Let's see, scrolling down. Ryan says, RJ, how important is a hero's occupation in making them a great standalone character who can sustain a great series? I believe heroes need interesting careers as part of their heroic adventures. I agree. The two characters that come to mind are two Green Lanterns, because back in the 70s, Hal Jordan went from being a fighter pilot to being a trucker. And I know back in the 70s, there was the whole trucker thing. You even got US1 coming out from Marvel as a book in itself in the 80s, early 80s. You had movies like, I don't know, Cannonball Run and Convoy and all that kind of stuff coming out. So yeah, it was a thing for a little while. BJ and the Bear, all that kind of thing. But to take your heroic character and to make him a trucker, to me, it just left a bad taste in my mouth, quite honestly. And the other Green Lantern, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think it was the guy who got his girlfriend fridged. Anyways, he was an artist. And it kind of made sense for an artist to become a Green Lantern because he can envision all of these things that he can use within the Power Ring power set. But at the same time, it just didn't fit. I don't know why. Because Captain America was supposedly an artist at one point, but it never actually played into the storyline. It never did. So I don't know. Having an artist didn't really work for me. But I agree. They should have some occupation that lends itself to what they're doing and how they get to be a superhero. Again, you got Peter Parker as a reporter. That works because he's taking pictures of himself and selling pictures of himself in order to, pay his rent. And again, Superman being a newspaper reporter, he gets to have first dibs on hearing about all these disasters so he can take off and deal with them, all these kinds of things. It makes sense. And that's one of the things I think, Ryan, as well, is why you got very poor stories coming out of both Marvel and DC right now. Most of their characters don't even have an occupation besides being a hero. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think the idea of the alter ego with its own occupation just added some humility to each one of the characters and allowed them to be something other than, demigods, and much more relatable. Let's see. Trey says, the problem with the mantle is none of these characters are mantles unless you establish the identity as something to be passed on from the beginning, like Black Panther. That's a true mantle. There you go. I agree. Let's see. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Scrolling down. George says, instead of passing a mantle, just have a new hero take over that, and that is how Hero Academy did it right when All Might lost his powers and the new hero of the world was the fire guy. Okay, I agree to some extent. Just create new heroes. Let's see. Scrolling down. See if I'm getting anywhere close to the end of the chat. I don't know. Oh yeah, Zach Dan. Zach Dan brings up a good point. He says, I suppose Kit Fox is a bit of a in-universe legacy mantle character. Yes and no. Kit Fox is my original character, but he was basically supposed to be a throwaway character. We were going to use Thomas Valiant #1, but my artist Renzo Rodriguez just put so much love and effort into this character, and he wanted to do the character again. He said, please, can we redeem this character? Because he's basically acting as a hero, but he's saying he's a hero, and he's on a heroic team, but he doesn't act as a hero in any way. But Renzo grew up, I think his first comic book was probably Chuck Dixon's Robin. And so he grew up with Batman and Robin, and he wanted to redeem this character, which is very much just a sort of like an amalgam combination of Batman and Wolverine, a different version of a combination of those than the amalgam one that actually came out. But I wanted to make Kit Fox a legacy character as we were redeeming him, because he has, again, like Batman has Robin, and there are a bunch of Robins. What Kit Fox does, and you learn this as you read the stories, is he has a bunch of proteges, and they are basically competing to become the next hero with that mantle. That being said, the mantle doesn't always pass down in the way that you might specifically think that they would pass down a mantle one from another, because of the fact that, okay, you have 4 to 5 characters. So you have the Jays, there's 4 Jays, and you had a 5th one which became Cardinal. If you don't get the mantle passed down to you, you become a different kind of hero, to the extent that there are other in the history of the character, other mantles that just get abandoned and something else comes of it. So it's not necessarily always going to pass down, although it does. From the 2 characters, the Kit Fox that is working in my universe right now basically picked up the mantle of Kit Fox from his predecessor, but it doesn't necessarily always go that way. If he has a predecessor that he chooses, they get to choose whether they want to be Kit Fox or to be a different kind of character. And that's the whole point of why we have so many Jays and they're his proteges, is because they each have a different niche thing that they're proficient in. You say Red Jay is proficient in, if you have the cards for if you bought the cards with Thomas Valiant #1, you get to see a little bit of this. And I think I did republish some of them within the Valiant Heroes floppies. But for the Jays, Red Jay is proficient in firearms and explosives, where you have, let's say, Cardinal, who was once a Jay, much more proficient in acrobatics. And you have different characters focusing on different things in order to, again, try to take up the mantle of the older character, which would make sense if you go too far afield from because they don't have powers, but skill sets, then you want to create your own character. Sorry about that tangent, going way off there. Let's see, scrolling down. Oh, there you go. Azrith brings up a really good point. When Wally West took over for Barry Allen, that lasted a long time. Yes. Thank you. There you go. There is one time that I think that it actually worked, pressing the mantle down. But again, very specific circumstances. Barry Allen was dead. He was dead. He wasn't supposed to come back. He should have stayed dead. Wally West had been Kid Flash for so long, and he actually became Flash. They started the book up at #1 again, and that was just, I don't know if you can understand if you weren't there at the time. Starting a DC book up, which was a mainstay DC book like The Flash, starting it back up from #1, that was like unheard of. And it was just something that blew everybody away. It's like, you're going to stop the Flash comic and start it at #1 again? So there was a whole bunch of things in world and within the comics themselves that promoted the view and the passing of the mantle to Wally West that made him the actual Flash. So yeah, that worked. Thank you for bringing that up. Tony says, RJ, any thoughts on a Harley Quinn? No. I was going to mention it within my video for last Saturday because it's basically a fetish book. But anyways, I didn't get around to putting it in there. So the less we talk about that, I suppose, the better. Let's see. Mystic says, if Steve Rogers was promoted to Major, then who would be Captain America? Yeah, I wonder. Does it roll off the tongue as well? Major America. Let's see. Scrolling down. Trey says the Ghost Rider is a mantle. It's a spirit of vengeance. It can be passed on. Yes, but the thing was that from Johnny Blaze to Danny Kinch, I can't remember his last name. It wasn't supposed to be. I mean, they retconned the entire storyline, but it wasn't supposed to be the same spirit that each of them possessed. Because if I remember correctly, the spirit that came down to Danny was more of a fallen angel than a demon. Basically, he was an angel that got captured and was tortured in hell and became a little bit twisted, and he was still an angel instead of a demon, though. So that's where, if you read Ghost Rider from the 90s, if you read it from issue 1 forward, that's what they go with. Let's see, scrolling down. Mystic, yes, says, one of the pleasures of going to a con is hunting for back issues. Agreed. Going anywhere where they sell comics. Let's see, scrolling down. Pedro says, RJ, silly question, Astro Boy or Tetsuan Atom, which one sounds better? I would go with Atom, because you got very few characters that are called, that have atomic references in their names anymore. So I think it's a nice throwback. Let's see. Scrolling down. Yeah. Don't bring up bad memories, Mystic. Mystic says DC introduced an Australian Aborigine amputee speedster in future state. Yeah. That's why they had to scrap the entire thing. It was just so ridiculous. Sandra says, RJ, do you think there is still hope for Europe? Do I think there's still hope for Europe? Yeah. Poland's doing okay. Hungary's not too bad. I think there is, honestly, back in the 80s and the 70s, if you wanted to tell a stupid joke, you would tell a Polish joke. Not to say it was a joke that was stupid. It was a joke about stupid people. You would tell a Polish joke. And you fast forward to 2025, and Poland is probably the most secure country in Europe right now. And I think they could become a driving force for the entire continent and a shining example. So that's what I think. Let's see. Scrolling down. All right. Michael says Smokey and the Bandit. Forgot about Smokey and the Bandit. Yep. Trucker stuff. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. Let's see. Michael says Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner was the one his girlfriend got fridged. He was the artist. Are all Green Lanterns from Earth? Yeah, different kinds of Green Lanterns. So they were given very disparate personalities. How's that? Let's see. Symbiote 5. John Stewart was a Marine and engineer, works as a Green Lantern. I detest John Stewart as a character. I really do. Because of his actions within the miniseries of Mosaic and the other miniseries of Cosmic Odyssey. He basically destroyed an entire planet worth of people because he was so proud to think that, I can't remember who it was. He was given a partner to work with, and he basically trapped the partner in one of his Green Lantern bubbles and says, I'm taking care of this. I don't need you in any way. And then the bomb that was going to destroy this entire world was painted yellow, and he couldn't do anything about it, and the entire world died. To me, that started the character downwards in a spiral of I don't know if he's a hero anymore. And then you got to Mosaic, which was an odd book to say the least, which came from Millennium, I think it was. I'm not entirely sure what DC event that it came out of, but yeah, it was just bad. Let's see, scrolling down. Sound Engraver's here. How you doing, Sound Engraver? Better late than never. Scrolling down. Let's see. Oh, Jose says, I beat the original Baldur's Gate D&D game. Couldn't stomach the disgusting new one. Can't believe the vile degeneracy in it. Why did I do so well with that garbage? I still have around here somewhere my original box and CDs for Baldur's Gate. Loved playing that game. The original Baldur's Gate, and then Icewind Dale after that, and then all the other ones around it. Let's see, scrolling down. See if there's any more comments for me. Tony has a comment. He says, RJ, what are your thoughts on Denny O'Neil's Green Lantern, Green Arrow? Love the art, hated the story. Agree completely with your sentiment, Tony. Love the art, hated the story. Stories, and it's like I always see those books every once, well, not always, but every once in a while, I go through my comic shop hunting for something, and I see the Denny O'Neil run within Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and I look at it and I go, wow, that's beautiful art. And then I think to myself, but I don't want to buy it because I know what the stories are like. Let's see, scrolling down. Leonidas, how you doing? He says, hey, RJ, do you think Marvel should have kept making comics besides just superheroes like Mysteria and other stuff? Hard to say. I would always go with the customer is always right. If their customers are clamoring for something and it can actually sell, yeah. You go back to the time of, Alien Legion. And I always go back to this because for the second edition of Alien Legion, they restarted the book up. And I can't remember the editor at the time off the top of my head, but the editor basically said, yeah, our book for the first series died a natural death because we just didn't have the audience to keep it alive. Nobody bought it. And so they had to revamp it in an entirely different way and to try and sell the book. And that's when Larry Stroman came on, which beautiful art. And so it did a little better. But anyway, you have to take a chance every once in a while with something like, what was it? Not Eclipse, but Epic line for Marvel or the Vertigo line for DC and see if an audience is there. If it's not, then don't. Let's see. Scrolling down. The other Michael is here. How you doing? Actually, we got like 3 or 4 Michaels. Let's see. Scrolling down. Exactly, Michael. That's what we were talking about at the first of this Avengers 300. Disappointing issue, to say the least. Scrolling down. Let's see if there's any more questions for me. If I can get going. We've been going for over an hour now, so I like to try and keep it around an hour. Let's see. Alpha Red Comic. How you doing? What's up, RJ? What's up, chat? Oh, I forgot. I'll have to do that before I go. Let's see. Scroll down a little more. I just want to promote another campaign, a good Indiegogo campaign. I was talking to people on John's Longbox about it. Beautiful looking campaign. I want to chill it just for a few minutes, and I'll just pull up the Indiegogo campaign before I leave, but we'll see if we get through the chat first. Scrolling down. Leonidas says, hey, RJ, I am learning art. I really like manga, and I also started to get into comics, so I don't know if I want to make manga or comics. What do you think are the benefits of either of those? From an art perspective, Leonidas, let me put it this way. If you're actually wanting to become an artist, I think the advantage is to manga right now just because you can go online and find so many manga resources in order to draw in so many different manga styles. And there would be just, I don't know, page after page and channel after channel just focusing on how to do it this way, how to do it that way. You want to do cartoony, you want to do chibi, you want to do ultra realistic. So those resources are out there, and especially if you have something like the auto translate in YouTube right now, you get no problem listening to these people talk. You just got to read. So to me, if I could just automatically snap my fingers and become an artist, I would become a North American artist, and I would go with comic art 100%. But again, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, you got to have people teaching you how to do things. These days, you're going to have to go with manga. Yeah, you seriously are. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zach Dan says, I grew up in Icewind Dale too. Zach Dan, let me ask you this question. You grew up in Icewind Dale too. Can you still hear the wind whipping in the background as you're trying to play the game? All through the game, the wind was just blowing in the background because Icewind Dale is in a very cold part of the world. Let's see. Scrolling down. I have gotten to the end of the chat. Okay, so I'm going to take this one down. Let's see. Stop sharing. Remove this screen. I'm going to pull up another screen here just for a moment. And this was the Indiegogo campaign we were talking about on John's Longbox just an hour ago. Let's see if I still have it here somewhere. It's called Gemini Crusaders. There we go. I'm just saying, this book looks beautiful. I mean, take a look at that. I am going to order this book. Some beautiful covers to it as well. Let's see. I got to scroll down a little bit here. And one of the reasons why I want to promote this book is they only got $1,367 US. That's it. They only got 25 backers. They're looking for $4,332. So, and they only got 11 days left. Although, as we were talking to them, they are going to extend the campaign to try to get to their goal. But to me, just look. These are the covers here. This is a beautiful looking book. You get your internals going here. It's basically about, I'll give you the 2-cent version because they explained it on John's Longbox while I was there. But it's basically a medieval fantasy world where 800 years ago, aliens came down and basically contaminated some of the human race. And then they had to be driven away. And so now they're back 800 years later when they have basically slid into myth. And so they need to find a new way in order to try to drive them away. And there's no magic in this world either. So yeah, you got some, again, here's the covers. Just take a look at this stuff. This is beautiful looking stuff. This is the cover that I like the best right here. And you can also get, let's see, you can get sketches. You can order those as well. You can get the digital copy for $9, and you can get any one of the covers for $16. And that's shipped. They're shipping from Europe. The creators of this are in Europe. So that's, let's see, $16 for 32 pages. Not too bad, quite honestly. When you got this level of art, I'd say it's pretty good. So anyways, just wanted to really quickly show everybody that because it's a great looking campaign. I don't have the link for it, but it is called Gemini Crusaders, and it is on Indiegogo right now for the next 11 days minimum. Let's see. So just go to indiegogo.com/project/Gemini Crusaders, the Atomic Conductor. Hashtag. That is the website, but I'm sure if you go over to Indiegogo, you can probably find it if you know how to navigate that site. Anyways, I want to leave it at that. Since I got to the end of the chat, and we'll just put the Avengers back up in the background, that great cover. And I want to thank everybody for showing up. I think I will play one of the Crom the Destroyer trailers as my outro, but I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It was great to have everybody here and just talk about some good old comics, good fun comics, really. And let me see, I'm struggling here to find where, oh, here it is. I will play the Crom the Destroyer video, and also let everybody know that we are working as fast as we can on Crom the Destroyer. I do apologize for having it be so late. The campaign page is down right at the moment just because Stripe had a problem with processing some of my information and needed more, but it will be back up soon. So if anybody's wondering what the heck is going on, it's just a technical glitch with payments. They had to stop the website in order for it not to take any new payments. Anyways, so thank you once again for everybody for showing up. I will see you next week or in my weekend videos, and I will leave you with Crom the Destroyer. Thank you very much. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
An age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.